The fourth thing, soul ties your heart position. Understanding soul ties. Have you ever felt an emotional or mental attachment to someone you couldn't understand or shake? Maybe it's a person from your past, a former relationship, or even someone you barely knew, but they continue to occupy space in your mind and heart. Where is your heart when it comes to relationships? Soul ties are deep, often unseen, spiritual bonds that form between people. Many people don't realize that a soul tie can be created whenever we bond deeply with someone, primarily through sexual intimacy. These bonds can be healthy, like those between family members or husband and wife, or unhealthy, as with casual relationships or uncommitted partnerships that can lead to spiritual and emotional turmoil. Soul ties aren't just emotional. They are spiritual connections that can impact our lives in ways we may not even realize. When we form these ties outside of God's design, primarily through physical intimacy without commitment, these connections can hold us back, causing pain, confusion, and lasting emotional weight. Jesus explained this in Matthew 5:27 to 28. Even looking at someone with lust can create a form of attachment in your heart. When we allow lust to lead our thoughts and actions, we open ourselves up to connections that aren't from God, and over time, they can weigh heavily on us. Sexual intimacy, as God designed it, creates a deep spiritual bond within a powerful union designed exclusively for marriage. But when that bond is formed outside of God's covenant of marriage, it can lead to emotional pain, spiritual confusion, and long-lasting struggles. Do you not know that he who unites himself with a prostitute is one with her in body? For it is said, the two will become one flesh. 1 Corinthians 6:16. When we ignore this principle, we risk attaching ourselves to individuals and influences that can negatively impact our hearts and minds. The dangers of unhealthy soul ties. When we engage in relationships without commitment or purpose, we risk forming soul ties with people who aren't part of God's plan for us. If a woman has had multiple partners, pieces of each of those men's spirits are tied to her. And the same goes for men. When you form a soul tie with someone, you carry part of their spiritual baggage and they take part of yours. Think about it. With each partner, you're adding a layer of complexity and spiritual weight. We also create bonds that can interfere with our ability to connect fully with others healthily. This can lead to confusion, emotional instability, blurred boundaries, and even the inability to commit fully to future relationships. Breaking free from these attachments isn't easy, but possible through God's grace and intentional action. The I problem. I must state that this is where everything starts. A passage in the Bible says, lust of the eyes, lust of the flesh, and the pride of life. 1 John 2:16. All men have been in every one of these. However, these are the first two I want to speak about. Remember, I stated earlier that Jesus said in Matthew 5:27 to 28, even looking at someone with lust can create a form of attachment in your heart. When we allow lust to lead our thoughts and actions, we open ourselves up to connections that aren't from God, and over time, they can weigh heavily on us. I'm sure you do. Most men open the door for soul ties through their eyes when they engage upon looking at a beautiful woman and immediately begin to undress her, having sexual thoughts or making lewd remarks about the woman. Once we begin to lust after her with our eyes, we develop thoughts that come from our hearts. Then we agree with the flesh to make those thoughts a reality. Look, I know how the conversation starts. Two men are talking, and a woman walks by. Then one says to the other, "Boy, look at that woman right there. Boy, she looked like something I wanted to take home. Look at the thighs on that thing right there." Then it becomes, "Look at this and look at that, and I'll do this and I'll do that." In that very moment right there, you have devalued yourself. You have committed adultery in your heart, as Jesus said you would. You have given yourself away in the spiritual essence before you even give yourself away in the physical essence. Crazy. This type of behavior leads you to start lusting after women when you go home. You dream about them. Some of you even masturbate to women you want to sleep with. And this is the start of creating a soul tie. Now you're trying to figure out how to get her. And then when you do get her, it's not what you thought it was. And even if you stop sleeping with her, you still can't get rid of her because you've established a soul tie. Pornography is a huge soul tie, especially for married men who watch porn. Porn destroys your marriage because you are lusting after the women you see on the screen and have no desire for your wife. Pornography is so strong that once it begins to talk over the lust of your flesh, it will cause you to isolate yourself from your wife and murder the intimacy in your marriage. Because the lust in your heart is, my wife doesn't look like that or doesn't perform like that. Now you have built a soul tie with the woman on the porn and enter another soul tie with the demon or witch through the workings of masturbation. This was for free. A true story of a soul tie. To illustrate the impact of soul ties, here's a true story. A woman was dating a man who later committed suicide. Months after his death, she began dating another man, and he soon found himself battling thoughts of suicide as well. He later realized that this wasn't just a random occurrence. He had unknowingly taken on the spiritual weight and the demonic spirits of the previous man's struggles through his relationship with this woman. Once he repented and sought deliverance, the burden of those thoughts left him. This is a powerful reminder that soul ties are real and can profoundly affect us. Want to hear the rest of this chapter? Don't stop here. Take the next step in your transformation. Get the full audiobook, eBook, and interactive workbook today. Click the link below to unlock the complete experience.